Okay, so tell us about the teacher training, Maitreyi. What's it look like?
Yeah, so it's a 2-year live online program and it's only on the weekends. So mostly Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. PST because we want people to integrate these sciences. And if,
Mm.
as you know, yoga and tantra in the West is like a game of telephone. It's gone a bit too far from the origins or the roots. And mostly it's physical, but of course there is some philosophy and everything thrown in the West. But here it's a whole paradigm shift that they're looking at, which means how do I even approach asana? So in exercise, they're pushing, no pain, no gain. Whereas asana is the opposite. Tiram sukham, which is what Patanjali says. And he says the cultivation of stability in the body and ease and joy in the body is the definition of asana. So, how do we savor our being? How do we savor our senses? Is the foundation of the practice. And unfortunately, that paradigm shift doesn't happen. It's the same studio yoga. And in the studio, again, the approach is very exercise paradigm. That's the foundation. So the foundation itself needs to be shifted, and that's what people get, where they integrate it into their lives over a longer period. So they first start with self-transformation, understanding their traumas, their shadows, the physical, emotional, mental, and looking at all the bodies, all the koshas that yoga speaks of. And then they move on to teaching. So teaching is an unfoldment. It happens naturally over the 2 years when they start working on the self. It's not, oh, I want to become a teacher. And it's not an intellectual process. It's more an embodied process. And that's why we rename the teacher training the Embodied Expansion Certification,
Mm.
because that's what traditional Tantra also is.
I love it.
Amazing. So if you can just reiterate, because we missed that at the beginning. So how is this different than a regular teacher training? So that's kind of the elements you said. It's really bringing in more of the embodiment and more of the kind of where it originally came from, instead of kind of the diluted version that we've got, that a lot of kind of practice has got to now. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And here they are not just teaching a yoga or a tantra class, but they can do one-on-one sessions and, have holistic healing and coaching clients. But because it comes from the roots, it starts with the self-transformation, and they're also teaching it in a culturally aligned or culturally not appropriated context, because that happens a
Culturally
lot.
supporting a process.
Yes,
That's
yes.
really amazing.
That I find is missing, because sometimes, again, I'm not blaming anybody here. It's more because I've studied traditionally. I've lived with my teacher for 6+ years, lived in the ashram with her. I know the depth of how certain techniques shouldn't be taken out of context and combined, or certain techniques, are not the be all and end all. It all has a place and a context. And that context is missed out because people go for 5-day intensives. I mean, they call it intensives, but it's like it's just 5 days. There's not much you can absorb in this vast science. And unfortunately, they'll take something they learned in the 5 days and they'll combine it, or they'll do certain things. And I'm like, a lot of respect that you love India and love those sciences, but the other side is you also have to understand what not to combine, how to combine all those things. So the 2 years actually gives them that context. It gives them the paradigm shift to approach the science, but also the context as to what to mix and what not to mix. So my guru, he was quite funny. He'd say, yeah, don't mix your drinks because you'll end up with the worst hangover. He's like, oh, like people have mixed it so many times. So he was like that. So that's
Amazing.
uh,
So it sounds like you're offering a really holistic approach to teacher training and yoga teacher training. And it sounds like, as much as it can be nice that, sometimes some things, it's nice when they're streamlined, but especially if you want a holistic understanding of the whole philosophy, and to the ability to do your own work, doing something like you've created, where it's a much more in-depth understanding. And I love that you said that it will also allow, the certification will also allow the teachers to be able to do one-on-one and coaching, not just classroom work. So that feels like that's really giving your teachers, or your graduates, diversity, ability to kind of have more of a diverse, more tools in their tool belt, and ability to not just run, yoga classes, but actually do, other elements as well. So that's amazing that you've really kind of thought that through, and been willing to. I know it takes a lot. You have to put a lot of energy in to really develop a program that is this, thought out and this detailed and this, holistic. Really, just it feels like the whole package. So thank you for doing that work, and allowing the community to really benefit from that.
No, thank you. Thank you for receiving that. And, the community has been good, and it's some of our students who've actually given us the feedback, the 2022 batch. They said, we get so much more out of this. So a yoga teacher training, the title doesn't cut it, because when we say, oh, we're certified like this, they limit us to what the Western view of that training is. And we are doing one-on-one. We've learned the healing practice. We can integrate it. Some of them are therapists, and they've integrated it into their therapy as well. So they could do that. There's one teacher in a previous program, she calms her kids down with 5 minutes or 10 minutes of practice, like with every, so it's like so many possibilities. And some have even one of them trains organizations, with these principles. So there's a lot of possibility there.
Amazing. It sounds like too, you've kind of thought out how people can really integrate this. And like you said, with that kind of success stories, that your students can integrate this more effectively into their lives as well. And I think that's really the whole, philosophy behind all of this yoga meditation, is it shouldn't be something that you do in a class for 1 hour a week kind of thing, that it really is an embodiment and a mindset thing as well. So I can really hear from the way you're sharing this with us, and thank you for sharing this in this depth, because it gives me such a better understanding of, the commitment that you've put in to really give the best to your students and give them a really kind of next level, experience and understanding of these elements, instead of just coming in for a 5-day quick get a certification kind of thing. So yay, well done.
Thanks. Yeah, and since 2022, it's gone online. So that I was actually not the best with the technicalities, but thanks to Ross and a younger, team, they were all like, oh, let's try out this online. And actually, there's so many benefits, which is one being, of course, people don't have to travel back and forth and get out of the process. Two is also in terms of projection. Sometimes when there's trauma, things can rise to the surface, and thankfully they're not in each other's space, so they're not getting annoyed by everything. So I was like, you know what? Actually, this is a big advantage. I don't have to manage people. I can just focus on the practice.
Love it.
So that's been a really big bonus of the going live online.
Amazing. And that's another element that really makes your program unique, is being online. And like you said, the time frame is over 2 years, on the weekends, right? Online.
Yes.
So that really also allows you to have an amazing global audience too. So it gives a lot of diversity to, the community that you're creating. So well done.
Yeah.
I'll just add, I think one of the great things is that the global audience can access a world-class teacher like Maitreyi, which is, she's a rare gem in the world of yoga. So I think that's a big benefit too, that people can join from anywhere and get access to her and the community, the Arkaya community. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've really appreciated having the classes that I did attend, mostly as the visiting musician when I was doing more. It was such a different, because I really got turned off by yoga I just never would go, because it just felt intense. And I was a hockey player, and they pushed super hard, and I pushed myself, and so it brought back some of that trauma of like pushing my body. But I just didn't like going to yoga class at all. I felt very like, I just felt off. I don't know why. I didn't like the way it was done. And going to your class was such a relief. It was like, oh my God, I can just like ground in. And there were so many other elements besides just, okay, now this posture. Okay, now this posture. Oh, breathe. And it's like everyone, same thing. You have to do it all at the same time. It's like, whoa. And yours was so much more embodied, so much more, okay, this is the thing. And here's the breath. And it was so much different, so different. And I really felt that and was like, wow, I really like this person. That's why we've had you at so many of our events doing yoga, and so appreciate you. You're the best. Yeah. Thank you, Ross, for championing and supporting Maitreyi. It's such a huge thing, and we're so honored and happy to do it as well. So thanks for, you know, engaging with us. I'm so happy to do this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel blessed for the right community that has come together, especially Ross. Like, you know, and when I came to Vancouver, or I settled earlier, even though I had my PR, I was going back and forth. That was my prayer or intent, that I wanted, you know, a person who could hold space like I was doing, and also be committed long term. Because as you know, this path, you know, it's not a one-off magic. As much as we'd like to believe, it's so many layers and layers of stuff in us that we need to move through gently, of course, and lovingly, and with kindness. And somebody who kind of gets that and has that commitment to their own evolution. And their, you know, that's another story if Ross would like to share how we connected. Again, it was divine, you know.
Yeah. So basically, I had been doing my sadhana just on my own for quite a number of years, and you know, had it really just changed the whole context and direction of my life. And I was at this kind of limbo phase. Like I didn't know what was next. My kind of long-term relationship had ended, and I shifted gears and just said, I want to focus on my practice and I want to be of service in some way, but I know like I really need a teacher. I need a guide. And then I got a call from my father who asked me if I wanted to go to India and do a volunteer trip with him for an organization called Aravind Eye Care. So I said, okay, that sounds like that might lead to something. So I went with him and I went for 3 months. And when I was there, we went on a field trip one day to a riverside temple, and we were standing with our feet in the water in the river at lunchtime. And I was standing next to this man, and he called himself Yoga Vinod. And he told me about Maitreyi. He said that he had studied in the same ashram as her for a while, and he had done a bunch of different work for Arkaya Foundation in India, and that she was now spending part of her time in Vancouver, and I should really meet her. She was this amazing teacher. And I said, okay. So then I sort of checked out her website, and then I kind of forgot about it, and my travels continued. And then I got back to Vancouver, and I was staying with a friend, kind of just waiting for the next sign for what was next. And my friend who I was staying with, his partner was managing a yoga studio. And we were having dinner one night. She said, you know, Ross, I keep thinking of you. There's this acharya from India who's spending time in Vancouver, and she's looking for a serious student to help kind of build the school here. And I just keep thinking of you. And I said that the light kind of went on. I said, what's her name? And she said, Yogacharini Maitreyi. And then I just knew, like, okay, this is the same person. First I hear it in India, now right here. So I've just got to say yes. So I met with Maitreyi, and then it just went from there. Yeah.
Oh, I love
No,
that.
it was a beautiful synchrony of my sankalpa and his sankalpa all coming together. And you know, there was a beautiful yeah uh, what do I say, magic there, yeah, in coming together. But why I was looking for the right word is, interestingly, in the beginning, when Ross and I would spend time, or we would be laughing, we get each other's humor. The people would think, oh, are you going out with Ross? Because sometimes we have that nice chemistry without it being a sexual chemistry. So I had to be really clear and really have that boundary, because in Tantra, my teacher was a female. And she would say, as a teacher, you have a responsibility to have clear boundaries and articulate it well. So we did so many practices, Ross and I, that, you know, our energy does not enmesh in any way, even on a psychic level, in any sexual way. So that is really, really important. And I feel that in the Tantra world, that is missing a lot. And that's why there's so much abuse going on, in terms of not clarifying that energy, not speaking to that energy, because you don't go to a sex therapist and the sex therapist doesn't end up having sex with you. He just helps you have a better relationship with your partner. Whereas I was like, how did it get so distorted in the Western world that you go to a, tantra teacher and the tantra teacher ends up having sex with you? I'm like, that's so weird. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I think it really speaks back to the work that you're doing with creating solid foundations and really clear containers and clarifying what you're putting into it, what's the intention, what's coming out of it. And I think that's a challenge when we're mixing modalities and learning practices from other cultures without getting that foundation of really why it's done this way and where it comes from and what the meaning is behind it, and lost in translation, not just language, but through generations, through cultures. So it really feels like you're doing a wonderful job of kind of being a universal translator for this practice, as well as modernizing it, like you said, having lovely people who can kind of interface with the modern world too, and really help bring it and present it in a way that feels really useful and beneficial for this time, without losing those elements, and in fact getting to kind of enhance them by having the modern understanding, using the modern technology like online, and kind of mixing those elements in so that we can share this with more people and reach more people. And through that kind of knowledge, and like Shine said, there's just, I think when we're tuned in, we can really feel when the integrity is not there. And, to know that you've done so much work to keep the integrity and nurture the integrity of the work that you're doing. And yeah, we're really excited to help you create lovely portals and interfaces for people to connect with your work on a deeper level and reach a greater audience. Because I think this is, a missing link for a lot of people, where they kind of do a little dive in, they start a little something, and then they're really missing that depth and that foundation that you offer. So yeah.
Thanks, Crystal. And it's also a really soft space where it need not be hard, and yet it can become hard if somebody is not willing to look within and chooses to carry that shame forward. We've had one or two in the past years where, even though we've offered the softest space, sometimes they find it very, very, is it Lizzie?
Yeah, the dogs are just shuffling around here.
Potatoes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Lizzie seemed like a, social princess. She was like,
Exactly. Sweet
I want to
dog.
know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, carry on, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just saying that mostly it's a very soft space in terms
Here's
Hey,
a soft
Lizzie.
face.
This is eyebrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Yeah, Lizzie had a different face. Yeah, that's true.
That was called the dog lift up mudra sutra or something. Levitating dog.
That's great.
Sorry.
Yes,
Continue.
you sidetracked her.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that there is a very, very soft space. And yet this used to happen when we had it in person, where not after we moved online, we've never had those issues. Those challenges disappeared magically. But it's people challenges, right? Like, so even though the space is soft, sometimes if they're unwilling to introspect or empathize with another person, I've had people in the same cohort, like, get their aggression out on somebody else and then not apologize. And sometimes I felt like, oh, I'm dealing with some 6-year-olds, in kindergarten. She pulled my ear. I mean, not
Miss
physically.
Maitreyi. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I will not say sorry, I don't want to say sorry, and then I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I dealing with? Ross wanted to say something. Oh, no? Oh, okay. I thought you moved in to say something.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so he's
casting my
been part of those cohorts where he's like, what are we dealing with? we need to write out a contract, like, you know, they need to adult when the trauma comes. I was like, sure. You know,
Well,
that has been in the past. But like I said, it's mostly a very, very soft space that we create. And the only times when it becomes disruptive is when somebody projects onto another person and is actually rude. The projection is one thing, but if you actually voice it and create disharmony, then it kind of escalates and we have to step in. And that's happened in the past where it doesn't remain a soft space. So we have to bring it back into softness and harmony. And some were unwilling. And I told them point blank, I will not certify you unless you're willing to introspect on why that projection needed, you know. So it is, I would say the standards are high, though the space is soft. So I would
amazing.
not certify anybody who's unwilling to introspect. Yeah.
Amazing. So you're really
Yeah.
doing amazing quality control of your graduates by, if you're, you know, really not, if they're not willing to walk the talk the walk, not willing to do the work and step in. And it's really kind of, you know, a whole personal development course you're offering as well, where they're really getting to, like you said, look at their own shadows and, you know, how we do anything is how we do everything. So if it's coming up for them in a class setting online while they're learning and in a soft space, of course, how are they going to be able to handle students and, you know, other challenging situations and really hold solid space. So yeah, it really, I'm hearing more and more how much this certification is really also guaranteeing kind of a much more well-rounded human coming out of it. So your students can kind of, yes, it's teacher training, but also, you know, 2 years worth of therapy and personal development, which is really
Adult kindergarten.
yeah, which is really
Let's learn how to get along.
really how all, I think all courses and programs should really have that element, because we know very little is to do with the outside. It's all, you know, and of course there's things to learn, and especially learning, you know, all this amazing stuff from other cultures and ancient wisdom pieces. But of course, even the way we hear things, if we've got blocks, if we've got filters, we're not going to be able to receive it clearly, and definitely not translate it to other people and to teach it in any accurate form if we've got running those big filters. So yeah, having that awareness is really key, and you've baked that right into your program. So well done.
And I was just oh, sorry, you go ahead, Maitreyi.
No, you go ahead, Shai. Yeah.
I did I think I did 1 day of a yoga teacher training, and I had sort of offered to trade something. I didn't end up staying. But on day 1, the first thing, the very first thing, you walk in, okay, everyone, show me your downward dog. And it was like, okay. And then that was like the first thing. And then they're like, okay, look at this technique, look at that technique. Okay, this is the way. And it's just so different than I imagine your training is, because it's like, who cares? Like, I'm sure there's a, you know, for some properness, but that kind of happens when someone's in alignment, and when their body is and good and they feel safe. Like it just, they'll find their natural rhythm. And it's kind of like the difference of teaching someone to fish versus giving them a fish. It's like you're teaching them how to embody and find alignment, or I'm making this up, but you're teaching them how to do that. And then from there, the practices become almost like they come from within, and it just happens organically, and they're able to feel what's right versus, oh no, that's right. No, you're wrong. You have to, that posture is wrong. It's more, okay, how does it feel? And if it's off, find that. And that the priority is the inner state, and then the flower and the fruit is the outer expression, and whatever happens, but it doesn't, that's not the priority. That's not what's important. The importance is the inner state, the garden and the soil, and then everything kind of works out if you plant it right.
Beautifully phrased. So that's exactly it. You're not making it up. It's, you've done enough inner work to understand and to, you know, intuitively know, oh, this doesn't work. There's something off with it. And, you know, it's not about the image. It's about what's happening with it.
Maitreyi's training starts with learning to ask the right questions about oneself and one's life and one's relationships, and learning how to listen how to listen deeply, how to cultivate deeper self-awareness.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah,
that.
it feels like a lot of modern yoga is more like fitness, which is great. And I think it's and with some mindfulness, baked in. And I think it's so great. It's such a huge step forward. It's such a good thing. And I really love that you're, bringing another level of depth and offering something that's different and unique. And I really value that. And so I am really like honored and excited to help promote it more.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, no, that's for me coming from India. For me, I just sometimes feel, oh, it's like taking an airplane and just using it on the runway and then saying, oh, this is all it's capable of, or not, not only limiting it for yourself, but limiting it for your audience, which unfortunately, some of these big schools, they have a huge audience.
Mhm.
So to that extent, the misinformation gets spread. So when people come here, I've had people who already have done other teacher trainings, and they're like, oh, now I just want to be associated, in their minds with something traditional. And
Yeah.
so it's so different for them that, it's almost like a dissonance. And they're like, no, but I'm such a great teacher. And then, all this stuff is coming up. It shouldn't be.
Mm.
So sometimes it's easier for someone more humble to
Yeah.
actually go through the program than somebody who thinks of them as like, oh, I've done all these asanas and I'm so great and I've cultivated all this and,
Yeah.
external image. So yeah, that can be a little challenging for someone who's so strongly identified with the yoga that's out in the world as yoga. Unfortunately, that would be a downside, I would say.
Well, that's a really nice message too for people, because sometimes it can feel like, oh, if this is a very in-depth, very authentic program, as a beginner, as someone who's never done much yoga, this might be way out of my depth. And to actually for them to hear that in some ways it might be easier, because the technicalities of like, this is downward dog and this is what this pose is kind of like, that's just like the alphabet. Like that's, those are easy elements to learn. The actual ingredients of what you're doing is the human element, is the learning to understand yourself. I love what you said, Ross, about how it starts with learning to ask the right questions. And it feels like it could be, I mean, even if people never want to actually teach yoga, it could be an amazing program just to take for themselves and to give themselves that confidence to know how to find their own inner balance and inner alignment. And like you said, even just share that as a coach, or share that as in other practices that they're doing, share that as a parent or as an employer with your employees, to kind of emulate that in a much more embodied way than just going to a weekend training program where you learn the ABCs and you come back with like, yep, I know what downward dog is. Yay for me. And yeah, so it really feels like that kind of piece. I think that message is really important for people to hear too, that kind of having the empty cup and being ready to fill that is actually a much easier place to start from than maybe having a lot of experience and a lot of training that didn't have such a clear foundation and now needs to be a little bit rethought and reworked and a bit more resistance. So yeah, that's where Maitreyi is happy that they're online.
I'm definitely.
I'll just bye everyone. See you later. You figure it out. Okay. Good night.
We all go back to our mats and cry.
Yeah. I love it.
Don't have to socialize. No, sometimes it's really nice. Not just the conflict. Sometimes people go so deep and stuff comes. So it's also good for them to have that safe space where they don't have to pretend. Like some of the nicer ones really had to come out of that zone and then re-engage. So even from that perspective, you don't have to be the nice person. You can just go back to your cocoon and finish your process and then continue. That's why we tell people keep that half hour after class like free. Don't rush from one thing to the other. Let it integrate. So yeah, with online, that opportunity is also there. And there's also allied teachers, and I'm going to ask Ross to speak to that in a bit, in terms of how we have so many of the allied sciences of yoga and Tantra, where we have guest teachers. We have over 6 guest teachers that we invite, and Ross could speak to that. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I wonder if this would be a good time for me to share screen to just show you guys. I don't know if you've seen our webpage. Yeah. Here we go. So these are kind of the taglines, more than just a yoga teacher training. We want people to know it's 2 years, 500 hours live online. Become a holistic coach, healer, trainer, and leader. Teach authentic, full spectrum, decolonized yoga and tantra. Book a call to learn more. So basically, what we do is we have an interview process with everybody. So first thing is they book a call to learn more. And it's simple. They put in their first, last name, email, brief answer on why they want to join the training. And then we're asking, how did you find out about this program? If you were referred by someone, please let us know who. So that would be you guys, of course, if you referred somebody. And also in the interview, we'll make sure to check in. And then you guys can also keep us informed if there's anybody you know's interested. And then there's a few other kind of little key things here. Like we want people to know, because sometimes people feel a little bit overwhelmed when they hear that it's 2 years. So it's specifically the 2 years actually makes it more integratable into people's busy lives. It's front loaded to the first year in terms of the intensity of the modules and the amount of the time commitment. So year one covers 80% of the training. Year two focuses on the practicum work. And then the through line is the Saturday satsang. So every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Is the kind of constant. So for those 2 years, the students are coming every Saturday. So they have that connection with Maitreyi, with me, with the other senior teachers, with their cohort and their community. And there's constant check-ins and processing and practices, different guest teachers coming in and giving talks. The other thing we want people to know is we are a not-for-profit. So anybody that can afford the full payment right up front or by the start date, we really encourage that because we're trying to support this ongoing work. For those who are struggling financially, on a case-by-case basis, we will offer some more flexible payment options and in certain cases, even scholarships. So in that case, we'd ask people to fill out an application and do an interview and share some financial information. But we feel this is for anybody who's really committed to their healing work and who wants to contribute in their community. They should have access to this. So that's we want people to know. In terms of the guest teachers, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. Because there's a picture here so this on the right here, this is Vaidya Anuja Chindarkar. She's an Ayurvedic doctor in Vancouver who comes from India. So she teaches Ayurveda. We have a number of different allied teachers who are from the different life sciences and arts in India. And the thing is that all of this whole Indian culture comes from this underlying worldview of yoga, basically. So the philosophy streams go into the martial arts, Ayurveda, Jyotisha, or Vedic astrology, Bharatanatyam, the classical Indian dance form, Indian rhythms and drumming, Indian martial arts, Shilpa Shastra, which is the sacred artwork and sacred geometry. So there's all these different things, and we have different guest teachers that come in so that students get a cultural and artistic and life science understanding of how the yogic philosophy is woven through and interrelated with all of these things. Basically, we want people to know they get these key external proficiencies, which is what they'll be able to do, what they'll be able to give, what they can accomplish once they've done the training. I'll let you guys have a look at that later, but that's all kind of listed here. And then we say the program prepares you to do all of this by guiding you through processes to work through your own shadows. That's first. And you'll learn in a step-by-step teaching methodology through this embodied approach. So like we were talking about before, you guys get that. It starts with the inner work, and then that flowering, that blossoming is what they're able to then give from there. And the core internal proficiencies, healing into wholeness, authentic cultural wisdom, deep personal insight, and then all of these different things, heal your trauma and reparent your inner child, build emotional resilience, regulate, stabilize your nervous system, power of speaking your truth, all these amazing things, of course, that come in almost an effortless way over the 2 years. People kind of look back and it feels like this smooth process, even though there will be bumps in the road and challenges. And then this part, what you get is really sort of key as well. So they get this ongoing mentorship from Maitreyi and myself and other senior teachers, as well as, that relationship with the other students in their class. Direct transmission from the lineage. Of course, yoga's got this amazing lineage transmission from acharya or guru to shishya or disciple through the ages. And our lineage goes back to the 1800s to Kambli Swami. And we went and visited the kind of guru madam where all the gurus their samadhi sites are when we were in India recently. Access to the various experts in the allied fields. And of course, the online element, it's all facilitated through Teachable, our online learning platform. Everything's downloadable. So all the live sessions are recorded. They can review them, rewatch them, download them. Course manual, the Arkaya foundational sequence document for when they start teaching. There's different mantras with the translations, cultural alignment, Sanskrit appreciation guidelines, and many tools and principles for emotional resilience. There's all kinds of assignments and contemplative work and reading material. And special bonus, they get access to all of our online on-demand courses as well during the 2 years. And I added it up, and it's around like $3,000 bonus value for those online courses that they get access to. Yeah. So people love bonuses, right? You guys have any questions so far?
Amazing. No, it looks really good. And it's very comprehensive the way you lay it out. It's a lot of information, but it feels really digestible. So well done on that.
Thanks. It's been an ongoing process for us, the website.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Tuition breakdown. So the total tuition is $59.40 plus 5% GST. So it's about 62 something after tax. What we say is, the average 200-hour training, you pay 3,000 to 4,000. And in this one, as you know, you get so much more. So that's
500 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 500 hours rather than 200, and it's spread out. And of course, everything we're talking about is indicative of how much more is involved. And then the module 1 is the only on-demand sort of pre-recorded part. It's the Foundations for Life program. And if people join right now, they can start into that already, and as a preparation for when we have the first live module starting November 2nd. And that's kind of like the deposit as well. So it's $640 for that to join with that. And we're giving prices in Indian rupees as well for Maitreyi's students in India. Okay, this part is pretty key. This is the program structure. So we've got all these modules laid out here. And if you click on the little plus sign, it shows you the whole thing. So I don't know if I need to go through every module with you guys right now, or if you'll just kind of have a look at that and get familiar. But basically, we start on November 2nd with module 2, which runs 5 Sundays. And we always take breaks for big holidays like American Thanksgiving. We'll take a break. So it's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday. So they'll be doing the Saturday satsang every week. And then these modules come up where it's a little bit more on the Sundays. And 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. means they still have time Sunday afternoon to go grocery shopping or do whatever they need to do, all that stuff. Module 2, again, 5 Sundays, April 12th to May 10th. 3, this is the first home-based retreat. We get them to set up like a home-based retreat. And it's still from 9 to 2, but the idea is you kind of eliminate as much of the extra stuff in your life for that time period so you can really go inward and have time for silence. And that we really focus a lot on the healing practices, and we ask people to invite a partner to work on it with them. And it's great if people want to do the program with a friend or partner, because they can actually do a lot of exchange with each other and support each other through the process. You have a question then?
Amazing. No, that's really cool.
Yeah. And then we've got the practicum start. So June 3rd, 2026, it's 108 hours of practicum. including the coaching and healing work, doing some seva, selfless service, volunteer work, as well as one-on-one and group teaching. So we'll support people to find spaces in their community where they can do that, help them with figuring out how to do it online. And then they get to also teach in the Saturday sessions, where then we're observing and offering feedback, and the rest of their cohort is supporting and offering feedback as well. And then this is the last module in 2026, September 20th to October 25th, break for Canadian Thanksgiving. And then they continue with their practicums, and they continue coming for the Saturday sessions, as well as there's this live element of the Foundations for Life program, which is the last Thursday of every month, 5:30 to 7 p.m. So that keeps going. And then the last module is in 2027, and that's the final 5-day home-based retreat, where everything gets reviewed, deeper into the practice. Everybody gets to give and receive feedback. There's closure if they've finished all their requirements and have shown the qualities of self-awareness that are needed, then they'll get their certification. Yeah. I am just going to quickly grab my cord because I'm running out of power here. So I'll be right back.
Cool.
Awesome. Very cool.
This looks great, Maitreyi. Well done. I'm
Thanks.
super
I mean,
happy to support.
yeah, a lot of the structure was there before, but now we've kind of made it more online focused. So it's been good to see how, it works online. And like I said, though I was like not sure, now I see it's actually beneficial having it online, and we can now, promote it in the US or anywhere else, even Europe. The timing is quite good for Europe. India, they'll stay up a little bit late, but people sleep late anyway there. So
Yeah.
oh, it works. Yeah.
Works everywhere. That's great. Yeah, our tech team right now is in India, and so we
Oh,
know
wow.
either early morning or late evening is our time to talk to them.
In Jaipur, or where are they?
Yeah, Jaipur and Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad. Yeah.
Yeah, Arun and Swati.
Yes, I figured. How are they doing? They moved, is it? They moved here from here?
Yeah.
They live in Vancouver full time, but their parents are a bit not well, so they're working with them, living with them.
I think
helping them.
at some point he was considering moving back to India. That's why.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't know. Maybe.
Should we end the recording?
Yeah,
and
is
then
there
we can-
anything more from?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Ross is back. We can ask him to continue.
Yeah, there's
Got chatting.
more
We got
quick ones.
chatting.
Yeah. No worries. So there's also the testimonials here. And I'll also send both of you some videos. We've been getting smarter and recording Maitreyi, doing a bunch of YouTube shorts and the reels on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll send you a few choice ones that if you want to share some videos when you're sending stuff out, that's always nice too. And then there's some written testimonials here that are a little more in depth about the teacher. If people are unsure and they want to connect, they can come join the satsang. The first one's free. And then, yeah, the apply here button. So that's it. That's the basic gist on the website here.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Easy. Okay.
Very
We've got
cool.
some ideas for some other promotional things, but we can wait for after the recording.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to share to the world?
Awesome. Well, we're excited to get on